ask you something. Do you like bow builds? I know I sure do. Here's what I've got. Anybody that's followed me on Instagram knows I am shooting Matthews, so the V3X 29 and 33 lately. I typically, and also if you've read my blog, so archersinsight.com, if you haven't checked it out, please go check that out. You know, I tend to like a little bit longer axle bows, although I do shoot the V3X 29 extremely well. But longer bows to me, longer string angles just feel at home. You know, I'm kind of old school. I've been shooting archery for a long time, so longer bows just feel better to me. So when I say that, talking 32, 33 inches feels good. My only kind of gripe, I guess, about the V3X 33 at my draw length is, you know, it's not really sizzling in terms of speed. So this new bow has piqued my interest. So here's what we have. So this is the 2022 PSE Omen. I've got to be honest, it's been probably 20 years since I have touched a PSE. Not for any negative reasons or anything like that. I've just really shot Hoyt for most of the past years, and then Matthews just recently. And I tell you what, when I saw the specs on this, I've seen some of the reviews, and you know, just really kind of decided to give PSE another try. You know, this bow seems to have a lot going for it. So here's what you have. You've got, it just came out in July. It's a fairly new bow, and it comes in rated at 4.5 pounds. This one weighs a little bit more than that. Maybe if you take the grip off, it's a little less, but it's, you know, pretty close. You got two cams, two cam options essentially. You've got the E2 and S2 cams. E2 is the 27 to 31 inch draw length, and S2 I think is 24.5 to 28.5. Limb options, you've got 60, 70, 80 pounds. So if you're wanting to go gorilla, you can go 80 pounds. Mine is set up with the E2 cam, and I'm doing 70 pounds. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a bit. Speed on this is 356 with the E2 cam. The S2 cam is at 345 feet per second. So either way, really fast bows, speeds, and axle to axle is right in my wheelhouse at a 33 inch axle to axle length. The only area that's got me a little bit on the fence, or had me a little bit on the fence, is the brace height. So with the E2 cam, you're talking 5.5 inch brace height. With the S2 cam, you're looking at 5.25. So, you know, typically, I think the bows that I've shot are somewhere between 6.5 or 6 inches. I really haven't ventured into 5.5 inch or less than 6 inch brace height for obvious reasons. However, PSE has, I guess, a new technology that they're calling their dynamic brace height. So essentially, the way I understand that, and there's not a whole lot on that, or they don't talk much about that, is how they essentially measure the brace height at full draw. So I think effectively you've got limbs and cams that get pulled back, and it pulls this brace height back probably another inch or so is, you know, my guess. But again, I'm gonna shoot it, see how it is. From what I've heard, forgiveness is, you know, for a speed bow, it's very forgiving, and some have said for a bow in general, it's just a very nice bow. In terms of forgiveness, maybe it's the length, and maybe it's some of that dynamic brace height. So we'll see. Specs that I have on it as well. I went with charcoal color. I think that is super fly. You know, at some point, or I do have a string on order. It's not in at the moment, so we'll do a little bit of color change there. But I got to tell you, the live wire string and cables, I'm actually extremely impressed with. Just in terms of build quality, just looking at it firsthand. Again, I'll get it on the press and you know, start doing the build pretty soon and shoot it a bit. I'm going to shoot these strings in. These will be a backup set, you know, at best, but from what I've heard, they really perform quite well. What I'm doing in terms of accessories, right now I've got a Hamsky on there that is not the Epsilon, but I've got the Epsilon just waiting on a part to get that going. So I want to hurry up and shoot it, so that's what we're going to go with. In terms of sight, I've got a fast eddy, the regular fast eddy, 3-pin, you know, nothing special, but again, I've got a dialed sight that I'm waiting on. It's just not in yet. There's probably plenty of you in the same predicament, but for now, I'm going to shoot the old Spot Hog. In terms of stabilizers, running the Quattro setup, so I think these are called the Vulcan Pros. You know, really nice build quality. I was surprised from South Africa how quickly they get here. I got them in the color to match the charcoal, and the color matching is extremely close, so I think that looks really nice. So again, we're just gonna do a build, have you follow along. I'm gonna do some speed tests, some accuracy tests, probably post it on my blog as well as Instagram. If you have any questions or anything like that, give me a shout. Thanks for following. All right guys, so we've got the Hamsky rest set up. I'm not gonna do any really instructional videos on how to actually do a lot of these things. If you wanna check that out, I've got stuff on Instagram on how to, you know, tie in a peep, how to tie a D-loop. But right now I thought I'd just go over a little bit of the process of how I'm approaching leveling out the arrow and getting a nock point set. So, you know, typically you can eyeball it and kind of see, okay, you want the arrow intersecting through the burger hole. However, I saw AJ from Knights of the Archery do kind of a measurement between 2 points on the cam. I thought his process was, or his logic about the approach really made a lot of sense. You know, you think about equilateral triangle is 2 equal sides. And with that, you've got a midpoint. Midpoint should be the arrow nock. So I've just measured from each cam point, divide that by 2. And I have the arrow there. Usually I do this with silver Sharpie, which I highly recommend. From there, I'm going to tie in some soft knots and then D-loop, and then should be pretty much equaled out. I'm going to then test the level, make sure our string's level, make sure the arrow's level. But from there, we'll either raise the rest or lower the rest, but that nock point will keep constant. All right, so we've got the levels on the string to make sure it's at 90, make sure the level on the arrow is at 90, looking at the bubbles. When I first put it on, the arrow rest was a little low for the identified nocking point. So simply just raise that up until the bubbles match. I mean, super easy process to do, especially with this rest. There's a lot of the rests that are micro adjustable out there, but we've got them level. They look pretty good. So now it's time to check cam timing, tie in the soft knots, D-loop, and then we'll go from there. All right, so a few things I've done since then. So we've left off with having the arrow level, leveling it with the string. So we got a 90-degree perpendicular angle, tied in the soft knots, tied on the D-loop. From there, I was ready to check the timing. So threw it in the drawboard. Actually not too far off out of the box, which is pretty nice. There are on the PSE's timing marks on the cam, so you just kind of check your cable. You kind of want those dots intersecting with the cable. However, threw it in the drawboard and noticed that the bottom cam was hitting before the top cam, just slightly. So I needed to do, did a twist, put it back in the drawboard, needed to do a little bit more, so I added a half twist, and we're pretty much right on. After that, one thing I always like to do is just recheck the level of everything. Anytime you're twisting cables or strings, you're changing things on the bow. Sometimes it doesn't make a huge difference, but in this case, I did have a small change, and it could have been one of two things. It could have been the twists that you know, changed you know, length of the string, or it could have been you know, just the nocking point, D-loop and soft knots tighten it up, and you know, could have shifted a little bit. So again, it's always good to double check your work. From here, we're ready to throw a couple arrows through some paper. All right, guys. So again, just appreciate you following me through the process of getting the bow set up. That's, you know, basically how I do a build. I've got to say that it's probably one of the most, the most simple build I've ever done. Really shocked how easy it was to get this bow up and running and shooting bullet holes. So again, once we got the nock point set, I really like AJ's approach to finding a nock point using, you know, the two points on the cams, dissecting that as a start, leveling the arrow on this Hamskea super easy. From there, tied in soft knots, D-loop, check the cam timing. As said, had to add a couple of twist and a half to the bottom cam to get her timed up. And from there, it was shooting pretty much bullet holes. I've got 2 different arrows I'm playing with. We'll do a little bit of fine tuning on that. But, you know, as I've always said, the paper tuning portion is just the beginning of really my, you know, arrow bow tuning process. It just gets you close. So I really, you know, would say don't stop there. But this is it. Final setup, final build. You know, a little bit of maybe shot experience. So you saw it, I shot it twice. Is all it's raining here, unfortunately, so I won't get to have to wait to get some more shots through it. But I'll you know, basically say initial impressions on the draw cycle, surprisingly smooth. I mean, I was expecting a super hard draw, but compared to some of the other Matthews bows that I shoot, it's actually very Matthews-esque or similar to that. Of course, at 5.5-inch brace height, that draw cycle starts a little earlier, but you know, to me, it was just super easy to pull back, super smooth, you know, not a huge dump, you know, compared to, you know, some of the other bows that I'm accustomed to. I'll probably play around a little bit with the let-offs and just kind of see where I like it. Not necessarily for a speed thing, but just kind of, you know, where I anchor and how comfortable that is. In terms of, you know, torque and all that, I still have the stock grip on there. I don't typically shoot with a stock grip. I'm usually off the riser type of guy, or side plates. But I, you know, got to be honest, I left it on there just to paper tune, and usually, you know, you'll pick up any torquing of the bow, paper tuning, or you can, and you know, as you saw, absolutely nothing. You know, so I might leave it on there for a little bit. We'll see where it goes. And, you know, stay updated. I'll give an update later on when I get some more shots through it, you know, and then maybe an update on the string when I get the string in as well. So again, thank you so much for following along. Let me know if you have any questions. You know, I hope you hit the like button, subscribe, follow me on Instagram. I'm s.g.holmes. Thanks a lot.